I'm going to Jefferson City, and I'm here with Brianna. There's games. Anyway, let's see how he does. Hey guys, so we are in Jefferson City with the state capitol building thing. I don't even know. So we went upstairs, but we're not in the building yet, but I don't think I can record in the building. So that's why yeah, it's really pretty. That's why I'm recording out here, so we're not going inside. So we're fixing to go inside, and I'll see y'all in a little bit. So, bye.
The fun thing about these bigger lunettes is that some of them have some kind of eye trick or optical illusion in them, and it's fun to see if you can see them or not. Okay, I need you guys to be this way. I want everybody for right now, don't move anywhere, but I want you to look at the painting that's behind me of the bridge. That is the Eads Bridge. That bridge goes into St. Louis. That bridge is still there. Doesn't get used very much anymore, but it is still standing. It's still there. It was one of the first all-steel bridges that had a lot of traffic on it, okay? This is actually the Illinois side looking into the St. Louis side. You see the riverboats and the skyline and so on. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick a spot to look at on the bridge somewhere. Wait, whoa, hey, did I say move anywhere? No, you guys are awfully enthusiastic. Okay, get behind me or it's not gonna work, okay? Pick a spot to look at on the bridge somewhere. And what you're gonna do in just a second, we're going to walk past the painting so we kind of get under that light over there. And the whole time we're walking past the painting, I want you to keep looking at the same spot that you've picked out. So if that means that you need to turn around and walk backwards for a little bit, or turn your neck around, or whatever. Staircase. That staircase actually starts outside, and it comes all the way up here to the 3rd floor. Normally, those doors are open, and that's another entryway into the building. Right now, they're doing a complete renovation of the steps, so you can't get in that way. This is probably where you'll come back to get your picture. Most people do on the grand staircase. Everybody look up and notice the stained glass. Really pretty. A lot of people come in here and they, for whatever reason, they miss that. They don't look up and see that. So, really nice. The other thing about this 3rd floor rotunda, and again, if you have some time later, all throughout this 3rd floor rotunda are these busts. This is what we call our Hall of Famous Missourians. These are people that were either born or lived in Missouri and did something famous. And they're from all walks of life, and it's a fun place just to walk all the way around and see how many people you recognize, okay? We're gonna go on this way and then head on down to the house lounge because it's just too loud in here. Right. Lounge? Man, you don't have to hold, as long as somebody's stepping on that mat, it'll stay open. It'll stay open, it's a magic door. This is the House Lounge. This is the House of Representatives room. So if they need it for something like a press conference or a dedication or a committee meeting or something like that, then they can say, tell us that it's off limits and then we can't bring anybody in here. Most of the time though, it is, open for tours. Back before 1936, this room did not look like this in any way, shape, or form. Back before 1936, the walls just had some wallpaper on them, and it was falling apart. I mean, literally, it was in shreds, and it was falling off the walls. Because the room was not air conditioned, so they would have to open up these big windows to get any kind of air at all. The river's right out there, the railroad's right out there. So you can imagine the dust, the soot, weather elements, all kinds of stuff that, you know, would come in here, and it was causing a problem. So they wanted to spruce up this room. They wanted to make it nicer, okay? So they hired an artist that they knew of from Missouri. His name was Thomas Hart Benton. Have you guys studied about him at all? Or any of you do like a famous Missourian on him or anything? He was from a very political family. His family was politicians and lawyers for the most part. But he had wanted to be an artist, and he had studied all over the world. So some of the representatives contacted him, and they said, would you be willing to come and paint an entire room at the Missouri State Capitol? And he said, I would be honored. I would love to. So they said, okay, here's what we want. We want this to be called A Social History of Missouri. That's your topic. And you got 2 years to get it done. He said, no problem. So the first year and a half, he basically traveled all over the state. He did a lot of research. He interviewed people. He made sketches of people and things. He made clay models in his studio. In other words, he got it all planned out how he wanted it, okay? The last 6 months, which was June through December 1936, he came in this room pretty much every day for those 6 months, and he painted right on the walls in here. And you can look up pictures of him in books or on the internet. He's up on scaffolding, and you can see him actually painting. That's a difference in here than all the other artwork inside or outside. All the other artwork was done in an artist's studio someplace and brought here and put up. These were done right here. He wanted to use brighter colors. To do that, he used the egg temper method. He mixed dry paint powder with raw eggs. Everything I've read says he ended up using about 35 dozen eggs before he was finished. And he would mix up just the colors he needed for that day, because you wouldn't want to let egg stuff sit around. And remember, at that time, no air conditioning. Imagine, especially June, July, August, and September, how hot and humid it probably was in here while he was painting, okay? He started in, he couldn't do a whole lot with this back wall because of the big windows. So he just painted the corn stalks to represent agriculture and the electrical poles to show the coming of industry to Missouri. Okay? Now remember, he's painting this in 1936, and I know that to you guys that means nothing, you know, because that's just so long ago. But, you know, it was a long time ago. Let's put it that way. This panel is where he actually started the story part of the mural. The whole mural tells a story, and remember, the topic is A Social History of Missouri. Okay? So this panel shows Missouri before we became a state, so in the 1700s. So you've got keel boats, covered wagons, the Osage Indian trading the fur with the trapper. If we move on over to this side, we're moving more to the early 1800s. The timber industry was pretty big for a time, so he's showing that. Missouri, at one time, in some parts, did have slavery. And so he is showing that in a couple of different ways. Later, he got criticized for that, for showing that. But he said, hey, this is a social history of Missouri. I can't just show good things. I have to show good and bad things. So that's what he did, okay? Above each door, he wanted to paint a tribute to a famous Missouri person or incident. That is his tribute to a famous Missouri author. Who do you think that might be? Mark Twain. Absolutely. This is a scene from the book, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which I guarantee you when you're in high school you will read. I'm positive. And this is, the boat is even named the Sam Clemens, which was Mark Twain's real name. The small panels, he's just showing different, you know, scenes from the same time period that the bigger wall shows, like this, some lead mines, this, there was a Mormon group up around St. Joe, and so on, okay? Over here, he's showing an early political rally. His family was very political. His dad was a U.S. congressman. His great-uncle was a U.S. senator. So he knew a lot about the political, you know, aspect of things. So that's what he's showing there. The big cloud of smoke here represents Missouri during the Civil War. During the Civil War, Missouri was very divided. Some people fighting for the North, some people fighting for the South, and it could be very dangerous and bloody at times. So he's showing a hanging, a lynching there. Big cloud of smoke over here, he's showing the coming of factories to Missouri. That brings up a point about Thomas Hart Benton. When he painted, he was all about symmetry. He wanted to make things match up, okay? This is the biggest example of that, but he does it all the way through. If he's got a figure here, he's got one here, 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 here. Even to the point, you know, he's got a point here on this cross on the church, and he's got a point